Hey everybody, it's Austin, and we are back in the garage with a project that I could not be more excited for. I've been wanting to add this mod to my truck for the longest time, and got reached out to by Hooke to sponsor sending me this product, and I'm super excited to bring you guys along and ultimately see what it looks like on the truck. And I'm sure by the thumbnail and title of this video, you know exactly what it is, but let's take a look at what's in the box and see if we can start getting this put together. All right, so here we are with a super well packaged bumper, which is comes in 3 pieces from Hooke Road. This is a winch bumper, and we can't really see much, but I just want to show you guys that it is very well packaged, and I was able to just get the top off. And we're about to get all these pieces pulled out and put together so I can measure the cavity in which the winch sits in to know if I need to take off the control module for this brand new Badlands Apex winch that I just bought, which I've been wanting a winch. I saw a comment on a video I made 3 years ago about wanting a winch, and here we are 3 years later, finally getting one because I have a bumper to put it on. So let's go ahead and get this out of the box, see what we have, and see if we can go ahead and get this put together. All right, so we got most of it out of the box. My hands are freezing. It is 18 degrees outside. It's like 25 in the garage here. So we're gonna try to get this out and maybe go into warm up for a second. Dang, she's a beast. Whew. Dang, that looks awesome. It's got this nice like powder coated finish, built-in fog lights, which I already ordered a connector that hooks right into the factory plug on my Tundra. I'll show you guys what the product is when it gets here. It's supposed to get here tomorrow, assuming the snow doesn't stop it. But it hooks right into these wires here and then hooks into the factory fog light plug, which I'm probably going to use on the outside lights, like on the corner of the bumpers. But for these inside lights right here, I'm going to wire these into my switch panel, my 6-gang switch panel inside the truck, so I can use these for more like a high beam situation, because I don't always want all 4 of these lights on. That'd be kind of extra on the road. So let's measure this and see if the winch is going to fit, because my understanding is that the winch from top of the control module to the base is like 10 and a half inches. So we're going to see how far it is from here to here, which my hand's about 7. So it's going to be close. We'll see. All right. Moment of truth. 9 1/8. From a video I watched on a guy that installed a C4 bumper on his Tundra, it stuck up about 1 inch and some change above the top here. And there was just a bracket, a grill support bracket on the Tundra that he was able to shave out that allowed the top of the module to fit on without having to do the remote location mount for that winch, which it does have, and it comes with a bracket. But if I could keep it all tied into one, I'd love to do that. So let's go ahead and see. My hands are so cold. I need to go get a lighter so I can start my heater. But let's see if we can get the bumper put together, because that'd be sick. And then we're not going to be able to finish this project anytime soon, because we're about to hit a polar vortex that our highs are in the negatives and maybe like 1 or 2 degrees, but we're supposed to have like negative 25 wind chill the next couple days. So definitely not going to be working outside, putting the bumper on. But let's go inside and get a lighter so we can get it warmed up a little bit. All right, so the first step is to get the wings onto the bumper. And we need to do that using these smaller grade 8 bolts, which is super nice hardware. I just got all the hardware out, and it is fantastic. All grade 8 stuff, so that's super awesome. But you take this bolt, put on the split lock washer, flat washer, and then we put on this, I don't know, it's not felt, padded piece in between here. Just sticks on over the 3 holes. And then you have somebody help you, like your lovely wife who's holding the camera. And then you bring these down. You put it through the hole, and you have a size 19 millimeter hex head bolt and nut, which I don't have a wrench for, so I was just using a socket. But now I think I might need the wrench because of these sensor caps, which I don't have. So you just go ahead and get those threaded on, and then you can lock this down. And once you've done that, you just do it to both sides, and your wings will be on. But looking at this fog light here, I noticed that in shipping, it might have gotten bumped, which makes sense. But if we look down here, I'm just gonna loosen this up a little bit. I think it's probably a 10 millimeter, which, you know, carry one of those around in my pocket. Oop, maybe not, maybe it's 13. And we loosen that up so that we can make it pivot the correct direction. Because once we get this on, I don't want to have to realign these. There we go. So now that's pivot and facing more forward with the angle of the bumper. But what I'm thinking about doing is possibly taking out these pod lights, at least on the corners, possibly the ones in the middle that are right here, and replacing them with the ones I installed as the pod lights on my dash or on my hood mounts, because then I would have amber lights on those and white lights up on the dash. So something I'm thinking through. Haven't made my mind up on that yet, but pretty easy to get those wings installed, as long as you maybe have some help to have somebody hold that up in place for you while you get that in lockdown. All right, so here's the piece that I missed on the last wing install. Is you take the sticker off of the other side, just take the sticker off of this rubber pad here, and then you line it up on this, but the sticky side is actually for the wing, so I took it off preemptively. Let's get the wing unwrapped here. Oh gosh. It's heavy for one hand. All right, so we got this right here. So now we can stick this on. And you just line up the holes. All right, good deal. So now I'm gonna go get my lovely bride's help to hold this in place. Just like this, to put in the nuts and bolts. Maybe I can do it myself, let's see. All right, so we got slip lock washer, normal washer, and nut. There's no way this goes well. Let's see. No way. I think I got it. Oh, no way. Enough to hang on at least. Oh, I am a machine. Let's go. All right. All right, last one. Remember, bolt, slip lock, flat washer, and then nut goes on the other side of the panels. Goes from the outside in. All right, so these Milwaukee Fuel M12, I don't know if this is a fuel actually, Milwaukee M12 electric ratchets, they're only rated at like 35 foot-pounds. So we don't really need to torque them down. It doesn't say what we need to torque them down to. So you probably just torque them to clickety-click-click as much as you can. Let me get my bigger impact, my M12. I'll show you, hang on. This thing's a beast. May not fit, it may only fit on one thing, so that's kind of annoying. Let's try it though. May not fit on any of them. Well, I'm just gonna get a bigger ratchet then. We don't have any foot-pound settings to go off of, so I just want to make sure it's really tight. So tighten it to as strong as you are. And then we'll go on to the next step. Oh yeah. All right, so the next step and big piece step is putting the mounting brackets onto the bumper. And what we do here is, you can see here, we get it set into the space on the bumper, just like that. It's the cavity in which we tightened the previous bolts, and this just slides down into it like that. So let me show you guys on this side. It's got multiple adjustments, so you've got up and down, and then the mounting hole here goes side to side. So lots of adjustment there. And let's show you guys how it goes on this side. So you go ahead and you put it in just like this. And you take your bolt, and you've got a split lock washer that goes on it. Flat washer, and then you put it through. Just like that. And then it doesn't say in the instructions if you do another flat washer, it just says one's required for each bolt. But I'm running out of flat washers, and so what I'm thinking is I should have done a flat washer on the nut side of the joints where we mounted the bumper to the wings, because it tore up the powder coating a little bit. It didn't say that I needed one, but when I was counting the washers, I thought I probably should put one there, but it didn't say it, so I didn't know. But let's go ahead and put one of the extra flat washers on the end of the long bolts that are holding on the mounting brackets, and that will help us not tear up the powder coating at all, because it is really nice powder coating. So go ahead and slide that on there, and then put our nut on just like that. And these that we're not supposed to tighten down until it's on the truck, because this gives us a lot of adjustability up and down and then in and out, which allows to compensate for perfect fitment that you like, but also might come into benefit when I install the winch as well. So we got the long bolt, split lock washer, flat washer, flat washer, and then finally nuts. And how I'm getting these, I'm not tightening them tight, but I am getting them set the furthest into the truck, which means these would be, instead of out like this, they would be down and then up. So that makes it the tightest fit. So that's what I'm starting with, and then we'll adjust from there. Not too bad though. So I did skip one part, and that was, actually I skipped two parts. I skipped the license plate bracket install because we do not require front license plates here in Kansas. So not going to put that on for now. And then I have not put on the bull bar yet that goes on top of the bumper. So I'm going to get these more snug so they don't flop around, and then we'll get this flipped upright and put on the bull bar. It's coming together really nicely. I'm super excited about it. Hope you guys are enjoying the install. All right, so here we are on the next step, putting the bull bar on. First, you guys missed the dance of me trying to turn this table with a whole wide bumper on it inside my super messy garage. That was a sight. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get this installed. First, you get out your fancy black hardware, which is super nice. And you've got the hex head bolts. Then you put on the slip lock washer or split lock, flat washer. Then it goes through, and then you put the flange nut on the other side. So it actually might have been easier if I did this from the other side, but I didn't know. So let's go ahead and put this on. All right, there we go. That's through. That is not easy to hold, and go ahead and get the nut on. I'll put this one through. To hold it in place. I think the package came for the connectors, electrical connectors. So that's exciting. All right. This is not great filming. I'm just tightening bolts, so not too bad. Oh yeah, that's it. The extra two are for when you mount the winch control box bracket. I'm not going to do that yet, but if I need to, you use those same black bolts. So, good to know. Let's go ahead and get these tightened down. I'm going to go ahead and get these tightened down, and then I think we might be done with the getting it put together. The only thing I'm probably going to do before getting it mounted up is see if my winch fits, and do any adjustment I need to at that point. But then I got to go ahead and get my bumper off the truck, which I can't do at this point because it is frigid cold outside and snowing. So we're going to stop here for now, and I'm going to go ahead and get this bull bar tightened up. But then if I go ahead and get these pod lights wired up, I'll show you guys what that looks like. So it turns out on the bull bar, the top bolts are 14, but the nuts on the underside are 13. So just so you know that. And I'm cranking these babies down because I can get to it with the impact. So making sure everything's tight in case I hit a deer, which I should knock on wood. All right, let's tighten this bad boy up and we'll be on to the next. All right, so the first step in getting the bumper off is I have to remove this bullbar by Oedro. So I unhooked the wire that I had coming through the grill there, and now I'm under here at the toe point hooks, and we're gonna undo these bolts here, which I'll then save to use when I put on the new bumper, and then I'll probably put my toe point hooks back on here if these bolts are long enough. So let's go ahead and figure out what size these are. Nope, not a 19, but we'll figure that out and get these buzzed off real quick. All right, so it's a 17. I had to put this bad boy on 3. These are tight. There we go. Holy smokes. That's crazy. Well, let's buzz off the other 2. All right, so I'm under the bumper now, just kind of looking at what I need to do next to get the factory bumper removed. And I have the aftermarket RCI skid plate, so I just need to remove these 3 nuts here, holding on the plastic bottom part of the bumper here. And then it looks like just removing that that push pin right here, which is keeping this plastic piece on the bumper. I'm on the passenger side right here, it's the tire. And then ultimately the 4 bolts that are the main frame bolts, holding the bumper on, and then it should come off. Here's what it looks like. And then I have this on from my previous light bar that I'll cut loose. All right, so it's been a couple weeks since we last touched base on the bumper. We were tightening down the top of the bull bar kind of feature of the bumper, but I was waiting on torque specs from Hooke Road to let us know how tight we need to get these grade 8 bolts down, because this is a safety feature. And in the meantime, I've also been working on getting the winch, the Badlands 12,000 pound Apex winch, installed, which has delayed me a little bit because we'll touch base on it here in a second. It's just been a little bit bigger than what the bumper fits, so that's not any fault of the bumper. But got the torque specs for these bolts, and the big M12 grade 8 bolts for holding the bumper pieces together need to be torqued to 62 foot-pounds. So I'm going to do that right now, and we'll once we get everything torqued down, then we'll be able to move on to the truck and get the factory bumper taken right off. All right, so here we are with the first M12 bolt holding these together, and like I said, it's 85 Newton meters, which in American is 62 foot-pounds. So I might need 2 hands for this, but I want to show you guys the click. Ooh, didn't have it. Oh, it's spinning the bolts. Well, I figured it might, so let me get a wrench and throw that on the end. All right, there's the click. Just threw a wrench on this side, and it should be good to take it off now. Assuming I can. But now we know she's tight. All right, so here we are in front of the truck, and we got a few things to do before we can get the bumper fully taken off. And the first one is I unhooked my bull bar, light bar right here, and that was with the mounts right here for your toe points. And I think I can reinstall those with the new bumper. So next, what we have to do is take off these 12 millimeter screws, which looks like that Looks like that one's gone. And then 10 millimeter here. And then two little screws right there on the inside of the fender well. That gets the fender well out of place, and then you can get to the fog lights. And then under here, sorry I'm out of breath, I was running up and down the stairs just a second ago. Take off these nuts to take off this plastic piece from your, well, I have an aftermarket skid plate. And then do the same on the other side, but once we get that going, I'll show you guys what that looks like. All right, so I'm gonna undo these two 10 millimeter screws or bolts, and then there's one right in here by the frame that's just a push pin, and then this whole panel should come off. Probably good to wear safety glasses when you do that, so your eyes don't feel like mine. And then we do this one push pin and it'll be out. Yep. And there's the push pin that you'll just use a flat pry tool to pop out. I just need to go grab one. Oh, it pops right out. And then this whole piece should, as far as I understand, come out. Unless I missed a bolt somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it just snaps in there. That's why. The edge of that plastic piece has a little clip. So you pull it this way towards the inside of the truck, and then it comes out. Nice. Now we have access to the fog lights, which we will undo the clip there. Just like that. You just pinch the bottom right here. And then you take your little pry tool. Should be to be able to pop this out. It's one of those deals that on the back side it's got a plastic piece that if you put a tiny socket on it you can generally push it out, but I think you can also do it with just a pry tool. All right, so here we are after undoing the ends of the fender liners, and now we're going to take off the not skid plate hardware, but the little flap that attaches the bumper to the skid plate. So these use an 11 millimeter socket. I'm actually using a 12 because I already had it down here, and I was able to break it free with the 12 without it slipping, so it actually might be standard. I don't remember the size, but an 11 should work. But that should take care of all of the little bolts and the wiring for the fog lights to get the bumper off. And now we get to undo the bad mamma jammas. All right, there's 4 on each side. 3 on one side of the bracket and 1 on the other, and we're gonna work on getting those removed. I think we'll probably need a breaker bar for that, so let's go get that and see how hard they are to get off, because you can't get an impact up there. All right, so here we are back with my best angle, and they are tight, and I've tried to use just a normal ratcheting wrench. Got one broken loose, but it's just real hard. So I went and got a breaker bar. It kind of looks like a torque wrench, but let's just pretend it's a breaker bar. Because I have one, but this is a little bit shorter, which I think is helpful. So let's get this set up so you can see it. There we go. So we're undoing these 3 and this one. I already broke this one loose, but it's a 14. Let's see if a little bit of leverage helps us out. There's not a ton of room to work with. Oh, and it's the short. It's a long bolt, so I need the long
socket, but there's not a ton of room. I mean, there is on this side, but there we go. Okay, that's not bad. All right, let's see. I can't get this in here, so I really might have to use a I can't even get any threads on there. Dang it. Oh, they're not grabbing it. Oh, darn it. This is way easier than the open-ended wrench. Darn it. You have to use this wrench. This open-ended wrench to break it loose. Ah, shoot, many crystals. Ah, oh, got it. Whew. This one was already loose. Okay. Well, now it's not too bad. But I definitely want to make sure I leave one on. I'm going to leave the top one on. Get the rest of these off. So, see if I can get them loose enough to get the electric ratchet on there. You got to aim it at the jack. Point the air at the jack.
Hold on, hold on.
Alright, so I should have recorded this, but my wife and I pulled off the bumper, and it's heavy, but it worked out well with two people. So now we're up here with, well, I guess this is the reveal. The new winch bumper from Hooke Road. And this winch, sponsored by me. Apex 12,000 pound winch from Harbor Freight. And the reason why this has taken longer than I anticipated, because the gap here to mount the winch is half an inch too short for the control module that sits on top. So had to take it off and figure out a plan to remote mount it, which I honestly am still, I found a place, but I might need to order some new wiring to make it fit. But we're at a point where we can get it mounted, so that's what we're going to do. First step is I'm going to use these pods as the factory fog lights, because they're all clear. And so I ordered an adapter kit, which I had sitting up here. All right, so it fell on the other side of the bumper and I couldn't see it. So these are the same receptacles that are in the Tundra's factory fog light right there. And they can be mounted either way. So I'm going to splice these wires in to there, and then we'll be able to run these pods with the factory switch that's in the truck. And then what I'm not sure of yet, and I'm going to wait a little bit on, is how I'm going to wire up the pods here that are in the middle. I'm going to probably run a separate wire. I'm going to wire this in below the truck because it'll hang down, and I can get it wired in and then zip tie it out of the way to turn on with my switch panel that I have inside the truck. If you haven't seen that video, I will post it right here so you can see that, or in the description. But these are going to wire into that, and then we should be good to go. But I'm going to go ahead and get these put on since I have them out and I know what I'm doing with them right now. All right, so it already is stripped, but I'm going to strip it back a little bit more. These wire strippers are just flipping amazing. It makes it so easy. You don't even have to like be good at wire stripping. So I'm gonna go ahead and strip the other ones, and then we're gonna use these connectors that are amazing. no association with the brand. You can find these on Amazon anywhere, but I'll put them in my description. They have a solder connection in the middle, so you just heat it up with heat gun or a lighter, and the solder, the metal in the middle, melts and fuses the wires together, and then the colored part is like heat shrink that makes it waterproof. So we're gonna go ahead and put 2 of these on, and then we'll be good to go. Make sure it fits. All right, so it fits in there nicely. I have heat shrink, like additional heat shrink that I would normally put over this connection, but I can't find it. These will be watertight, and I'll still tape them, but normally I would do that, and I would recommend it as well. So if you hear some noise in the background, happens to be my favorite little man. So let's pull these off. These connections are better than the wires here. You can see they're all copper. So we're gonna go ahead and get them twisted together. Like that. Oh, don't make that rookie mistake. Oh, slide it through. Not sliding through very well. Huh. Maybe we can slide it over this one some more. Oh, not very far. All right, I'm gonna figure out how best to do that. But what we're gonna do is we're going to twist these together around each other. Like this. And then we'll slide the piece over both. They'll be in line, but just showing you how it's done. And then we'll heat it up. All right, so I have it on there, the little piece, the little connector. Now I'm gonna use my heat gun. I already started it, but I wanted to get on video showing you guys the solder. See, as you can see, the solder melts into the wires. I need to get the black wire a little bit more, but creates waterproof connection and melts it all together, which is super cool. So I'm gonna do this to the other side and then wrap these up in tape, and that's just to protect the seal, but they'll be watertight otherwise. All right, so here she is in all her glory. Hooke Road winch bumper. I'm super stoked about this. I've not gone over the features of all of it yet, but it's going to be awesome, and I'm so excited. But I thankfully have a motorcycle jack, which is super helpful. You can use a regular jack, just put like a 2x6 or something across it and try to strap it down. But this will really help line it up without letting it nick the paint. Definitely don't want it to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and with my wife's help, make sure we get it on there right. I have all of these brackets that use a 19mm or 3/4. It really, I mean, it's kind of sloppy if you use 3/4, but I have it furthest out and furthest down the bracket so that it pushes the bumper up into the grill, I think, to give it its tightest look. But these are fully adjustable, so we'll be able to adjust that as we go. And then I'll run the winch wiring up through the grill. We'll figure that out, but I want to get all this up into place first while I have a second pair of hands. So let's go ahead and get it up into place. Oh man, it doesn't go high enough. Darn it. That's a bummer. Alright, let's see if that goes. If that's high enough. I think it is too high. All right, so now we're down here at this view. I'll let you guys get the cat's eye view. We're trying to line up these holes right there with the posts. Hey, babe. Yeah. We can't move back there so much.
Sorry.
Can I see the other ones over here? We'll have the bride check. Oh, I'm so excited. All right, we're gonna check and see if the other side's on, and then we'll get it adjusted. All right, so I think I've got it on there on the post. Now we just gotta work on fitment. So you can see the corners are down. So that just means I need to get the nuts on the post to hold it on there, and then I can pivot it to get the center line, see how it's super tight right there, to match a more even spread across the bumper. So we definitely don't want that gap. Don't want that gap. So we're gonna split the difference with something kind of like that chrome gap right there. So let's get under the truck and put those nuts on the posts again. All right, here we are under the truck. We're gonna throw these nuts back on. So we can adjust the bumper. Without pulling off of here. All right, and then like I said, we can, if the bolts are long enough, we can throw our toe hooks back into that. Darn it, I was gonna grind that off before putting that on there to get a little bit of the surface rust off. But I'm gonna go throw these nuts on the other side, and then we'll be able to adjust the bumper and then tighten these two adjustment bolts down. And also get this harness that we wired up plugged into the factory harness. I'll have the link to this in my description too. All right, so I've got all the nuts on the brackets holding it to the frame right here and tightened up just to like 30 foot-pounds with my little electric ratchet. But now is the finesse piece of figuring out where to put pressure to get the gap to be just right. So if you can see with the jack here, if I lower it, watch the gap there, it tilts back. So it was actually tighter when I before I jacked it up from the front. If I scoot it under more, like under the winch plate, if I go under the winch plate, it makes it more even. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, find where I like it, and then tighten down the grade 8 bolts, the gold ones, the two on the left there, to get it in the right setting. So just some finagling. All right, so while I'm under here, I got it set to where I wanted, and I tightened these down pretty darn snug. So this side at least is not going to move very much. And then I plugged this in with the factory cable looking down at you with the top rounded part facing you. I did positive on the right. We'll just see if it works, and then we'll know. So I'm going to go to the other side and tighten those down to snug. And then I'm also going to put the factory toe pieces back in here if the bolts fit, if they're long enough. Actually, now that I'm feeling that, hang on. So, see that gap there? Nah, it's too wide. That would have been slick though. Well, we're gonna throw those in there too if the bolts are big enough. If not, we'll have to get some longer bolts, but hopefully it doesn't mess the fitment up. But on to the other side. All right, so I've been under here tightening all the bolts and putting a zip tie around the pod light wires. Just to get them up out of the way. I'm gonna leave a little bit of a tag end just so I can tighten it more if I need to later. But got these all tightened down as tight as I could. I think the torque specs that they gave me said 65 foot-pounds, which doesn't seem like a ton for those types of bolts. But then I also ran my impact on these till they stopped. They wouldn't go anymore. So make sure you tighten those down really well. But now I just need to get this wiring tucked up out of the way because I don't have the winch wired in yet. Because I need to run that up through the grill into the engine bay. So that's tucked up right in there. Hello. And that's probably where it'll stay for just this moment. But I don't think I'm gonna mount the toe receptacle. Okay, Siri. I don't think I'm gonna mount the toe points back again. It didn't line up on this side, and I have these, so that's easier to get to. Anyways, but I'm gonna go ahead and get these wires pulled up out of the way just for now, so they don't get. Oh my gosh, Siri. So they don't get in the way. But then once we do that, we should be buttoned up for the time being. I'll take some final video and pictures after this, but I am so excited to get to use this. It looks so cool. Well, that is definitely the coolest thing I've ever installed on the truck. The Hooke Road winch bumper that they graciously sent me for me to install, and I could not be more excited. It just looks so good. It has 4 pod lights, the spot for the winch, which I provided, and then also a place to put your light bar right here in these grooves, so I can take the light bar off my little bull bar that I had there and reuse it for this winch bumper. And I'm so stoked. This will just give me so much more capability if we find ourselves off-road and or in the snowy conditions. Is probably more likely. We don't have any forest service roads or anything like that around here, but being able to have the capability to have a winch on your truck, recovery points, extra lighting, especially when it comes to bad weather in the wintertime, will be perfect. I'm so excited about it. And as you can see, the little bull bar doesn't get in the way of my Toyota Safety Sense sensor or camera, whatever it is, and it just looks really sleek. So let me bring you in a little bit closer just for some final video. But huge shout out to Hooke Road for hooking this up, because this is a bumper that I probably wouldn't have been able to get otherwise. It's really nice, really good quality, and really thankful for being able to put it on my truck. I appreciate you guys watching, and let me know in the comments if I should do anything else with this bumper. If you'd like to see a rear bumper put on the Tundra, get her really outfitted. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you want, and check out the links in the description to get access to this bumper, as well as any products I used in the installation. We'll see you on the next one.